An angel told me to find my call. I'm here to offer mine art for
Fine Art for All. My name is Barbara Mendes, and I'm a Los Angeles artist. I work very hard on very intricate paintings, some of which take me years to do. And in past programs, I've exposed you to some of my biblical murals and some of my larger biblical works, which you can see a lithograph behind me of one of the very large, intricate biblical works. And right now I'm engaged on doing the third book of the Torah, the third book of the Bible, which is Leviticus. In Hebrew, we call it Vayikra. And because the previous mural, which is now in Yerushalayim permanently, at 12 feet, it was still too small for all the detail, and it hurt my hand. So I made the second mural even larger. And you won't be able to see this, but you get an idea that it's a very large 15-foot wall, and I've only started a tiny bit. It took me a year to do all the drawings. So what we're going to be looking at tonight is some work that I do when I simply have to get away from these incredible year-long intricate projects. So one of the things I love to do to get away from oil paints is to do acrylics. And tonight's going to be a totally acrylic night, even though most of the work you've seen on Fine Art for All has been oil painting. So what we're going to look at first is we're going to look at the small series of paintings that I did this year, all brand new, and they're of angels, and they're of queens, and because I paint things and then they happen later, I have some good stories about them. And these small paintings led up to a larger painting, which I'm in progress, and it's behind me, and it's also the Shabbat Queen over here. Now, this time, for the first time on Fine Art for All, I'm not going to haul out that same Israelites that I've done for 7 shows. I brought the Shabbat Queen. And you're really going to participate in the creative process with me because this one is very much in progress. But I have some ideas for what I may do once I get started, and I'll try to share with you different techniques. And just as a preview, I got my beautiful acrylic palettes, which are so colorful. So I'm going to walk over and begin describing the small paintings that you see over here. Now, the reason that I began with angel paintings, and the reason I began with angels was because, as I explained on Fine Art for All number 6, my daughter died this year after a 30-year heroic struggle with cancer. She was supposed to die in '74, so she was an incredible miracle person. And when she died, and I went to synagogue during the mourning period, at which time, by the way, I made a miracle. And I made some people get married because of that. I have to tell the story. There's a Jewish custom. And the custom is that during your mourning period, you are escorted into the synagogue to begin Shabbat, so you're not mourning during our Sabbath. And when the Sabbath is over, you're escorted home back into your mourning period. So as I don't normally go at both of those times, but I did. And at the end, I wanted to be escorted home. And I saw a young man. He goes right my way. It's this tiny shul. I said, Robert, do you mind just escorting me? No problem. And I really don't know this young man. I asked him a few questions. How old are you? What do you do? Where do you live? He has a home. He has a good job. I said, hey, you sound eligible. Are you looking to get married? I referred him to a woman who has lunches to bring single people together. Other people had told him about this woman, but I ran into her right at the store the next day, and she gave me her card, and I made a map to her home on the card, because on Shabbat we walk, we don't drive, and her house might be difficult to find on foot. So I made the map, and Robert called Sipora, and she interviewed him, and she invited him over. Next thing you know, he's dating. Next thing you know, he's engaged. And when he brought the lady to our synagogue, sure enough, I know her in the community. So I'd like to say on TV, Mazel Tov, Robert and Goldie. And that was one of the pieces I worked on in this acrylic series, was Robert and Goldie's wedding painting. But it's in their home. And I got to dance at the wedding. And the dancing, just like King David said, it turned my mourning into dancing. Because I've been very much mourning my daughter, and I gave it that. She deserved it. But then it was time to live again, and this dancing at their wedding, which really her death caused to happen, it was a beginning of a very strong phase for me. But that night that I met Robert and made all that happen, I looked up in the sky and I saw these pink clouds. It was sunset and they were like dancing. They were dancing angels. And I thought, that's my Annie. She's in heaven. She's in Olam Haba. And she's dancing. And I was dying to paint these angels. And at the time, I was painting that Peter picture, which I did on the last Fine Art for All program. And that was a lot of work. So I was like held back. And I took a little time out and I made the angels. And here they are, the two angels. Now, I've also painted angels on the front of my building. And we're going to see later a roll-in showing more of the stuff I do when I'm not doing what I feel I am supposed to do, which is hanging angels and queens and paintings and sculptures and giraffes, elephants, thousands of horses. They hang from my tree, sculptures and little paintings, and lots of angels. And there's also angels painted on the mural on the front. We're going to see all that in the roll-in. So first I began with angels. Then there was a festival coming up, and I wanted to put myself out and do something. So I did all these special works on these wire walls for the festivals. And one thing that's popular is a sign called Mizrach. What does it mean? It means east, to the east. Now, Jewish people, when we pray, we always face to the east. And we face, why? Because it's Jerusalem. We face Yerushalayim 3 times a day when we pray. So many homes, it's a nice custom to have a sign that says the east, Mizrach, on the wall. And somebody had told me they wanted some. And the truth is, I sold the best ones at the festival. I wish I had them. They were darling with scenes of Yerushalayim in the background. But if you can follow my pointer, it's these here. Say, it's in Hebrew, Mem, Zayin, Resh, Chet, Mizrach. And it means east. And I used a lot of glitter. And let me tell you this right now. I believe that the great accomplishment of our century is not cells and computers. It's laser glitter. I love laser glitter. If you can follow me right just back to this one. You see it's very shiny, and it comes in all colors. And if I continue in the acrylic mode, I'll bring more glitter paintings in another time. So let's go back, following the angels. I want to go down here to these dancing people. Now, this is a theme I like to do so that not every single thing is Jewish and biblical. And I like to let my imagination flow. And just like there's a princess craze now, when I was a little girl, I also wanted to be a princess because Walt Disney's movies were brand new then, and we all loved them. And so my basic lady is very princess-like. I really love this painting the best. It just has a lovely color and feel to it, the lady and the horse. Of course, they're sort of symbolic. And then if we go to this one, we see the same with slightly different colors. And going down, we see very complex with glitter and shiny things. These are dancers. Dancing in the sky with horses and flowers. There's a glitter heart. And this is a lady dancing. It's me, and I'm dancing, and these are all the crazy people sending down feelers to me. And this is my daughter, and this horse symbolizes her husband, and this is my beloved granddaughter, Melody, who is a ballerina at 3 years old, and a beautiful dancer, and has had a recital. So here she is in her tutu in the wild space. And this is another one. This shows a very shiny giraffe and a lady dancing and chasing, and different horses and different ladies going around the edges. And this one is of the same series of glitter and ladies and horses and things coming out of the horses. And these are things they sell. It's called confetti, but I use it to provide sparkle to my paintings. Now, this one is not belonging here. It's a little older, but I included it to show that I love queens from before. And this particular one has lovely wings. So maybe I'll move the wall a little more, aiming at the camera. Okay, now let's go to the queens, to the Shabbat.